Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Judicial Proceedings Committee afternoon voting session. We're going to start off on voting list 15. Today is March 26, 2024. We're going to start 16 voting list. Sorry, 15.
All of these bills were voted unanimous in committee and are identical to the cross files.
So, no. These have all been voted unanimously in committee, and they are identical to their Senate cross file. So, we'll go very quickly. Brief description. Yeah, exactly. And then we'll move as much as we can. All right. So we're going to start off with Shamari as the first two. We're going to start off with House Bill 13.
House Bill 13 authorizes a condominium regime to be established on a leasehold estate owned by an affordable housing land trust. It's identical to the Senate Bill 199, which we passed unanimously.
It's been a motion for favorable. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? All right. House Bill 13 passes unanimously. The next bill is House Bill 93. Shamari.
House Bill 93 expands the circumstances under which a tenant's liability for rent may be limited when vacating a premises due to medical reasons. This bill was cross-filed with Senate Bill 162, which passed unanimously and is identical.
It's motion for favorable and seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? House Bill 93 passes unanimously. We'll now move on to Josh with House Bill 102.
House Bill 102 prohibits a motorcycle passenger from riding on a seat at the rear of the operator if the passenger cannot position their feet firmly on the footrest while seated, unless they cannot do so as a result of a permanent physical disability. It is identical to Senate Bill 730.
Motions for favorable. It's been seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? House Bill 102 passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 139. Back to Shamari.
House Bill 139 adds gas and electric utility services to the type of utility service for which certain landlords are required to provide a certain notice in a written lease and a copy of a certain receipt or bill summary under certain circumstances. This bill is identical to Senate Bill 171, which passed this committee unanimously.
Motions for favorable. It's been seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? Okay. House Bill 139 passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 176, and that's Josh. You got the next four.
House Bill 176 authorizes a person who undertakes the towing or removal of a vehicle from a parking lot to notify the insurer of record electronically if that form of notice is agreed to by the tower and the insurer in writing. It is identical to Senate Bill 149.
Motions for favorable. It's been seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? All right. House Bill 176 passes unanimously. Now move on to House Bill 178.
House Bill 178 authorizes the MVA to issue a special disabled vehicle registration plate to an individual who is between 50 and 99% service-connected disabled. The bill is identical to Senate Bill 55.
Motion for favorable. It's been seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? All right. House Bill 178 passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 231.
House Bill 231 is a departmental bill that authorizes the recipient of a U.S. Department of Defense next of kin lapel button to apply for special registration plates with the MVA, similar to the Gold Star recipients under current law. The bill is identical to Senate Bill 275.
The motion for favorable has been seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? House Bill 231 passes unanimously. The next bill is House Bill 285.
House Bill 285 moves from October 31st, 2023 to October 31st, 2024. The deadline for the reporting requirement for the task force on property appraisal and valuation equity, and it extends from June 30th, 2024 to December 31st, 2024, the termination date for the task force. It's identical to Senate Bill 518, which passed unanimously.
Motions for favorable. The senator motioned and seconded his own motion. Yeah. Committee of one. All right, there we go. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? All right, House Bill 285 passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 309.
House Bill 309 alters procedures for the dispute settlement mechanism under the Maryland Cooperative Housing Corporation Act. It makes other technical and clarifying changes. It's identical to Senate Bill 15, which passed unanimously.
Motions for favorable. It's been seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? All right, House Bill 309 passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 337.
House Bill 337 establishes increased penalties for a driver of a vehicle who fails to yield the right of way in a designated bike lane or shoulder to a person lawfully riding a bicycle, an electric personal assistive mobility device, or a motor scooter if the violation contributes to the serious physical injury or death of the person riding. It is identical to Senate Bill 315.
Motions for favorable. It's been seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? House Bill 337 passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 552.
House Bill 552 requires that citations and notices issued as a result of automated enforcement of the vehicle laws be sent to the current mailing address on file with the MVA or the current residential address on file with the MVA if a mailing address is not available. It is identical to Senate Bill 672. Yes.
Motions for favorable and seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? House Bill 552 passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 601.
House Bill 601 increases penalties and points assessments for violations related to participation in racing or speed contests and establishes a statewide prohibition on exhibition driving. It is identical to Senate Bill 442, which passed out of the Senate unanimously, but there is a technical correction that needs to be made. There's just a correction to an amendment that the committee made, so it's purely technical and would just be changing a cross-reference in the bill to be updated with the amendments that were made by the committee.
So just real quick, does that mean, do we have to conform not conform, but the amendment is to the House bill? Or?
The amendment is to the House bill and they're going to make the same change to the Senate bill.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so Senator West has moved the amendment. I'll second it. Is everyone okay with the amendment? Okay, now the bill's before you as amended. Motions for a favorable with amendment. It's been seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? Okay, House Bill 601 with amendment passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 605.
House Bill 605 establishes a new regulatory framework that applies to recreational vehicle dealers, distributors, factory branches, and dealers. It is identical to Senate Bill 504, which passed unanimously.
Motions for a favorable. Seconded. All right. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? House Bill 605 passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 668.
House Bill 668 alters the salary of the Anne Arundel County Sheriff to be equal to the salary of a captain in the Anne Arundel County Police Department at step 20 in the pay scale. Pursuant to constitutional requirements, the salary structure specified in the bill takes effect at the beginning of the next term of office. This bill is identical to Senate Bill 658, which passed the Senate unanimously.
Motions for a favorable and second. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? All right, House Bill 668 passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 720.
House Bill 720 requires that every deputy clerk or deputy sheriff in Carroll County take and sign the oath of affirmation prescribed by the Maryland Constitution. This bill is identical to Senate Bill 1108 and was passed the Senate unanimously.
Motions for a favorable and second. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? All right. House Bill 720 passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 782.
House Bill 782 authorizes specified officers of a volunteer fire company and the fire police of a volunteer fire company to equip their privately owned vehicles with red and white or red and green lights. The bill is identical to Senate Bill 838, which passed unanimously.
Motions for favorable and second. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? All right, House Bill 782 passes unanimously. All right, that completes the work for voting list number 15. We'll now move on to voting list 16. And we're gonna start off the Shamari with House Bill 147. These are not consent, not. Yeah, 143, yep. These are- Go ahead, can we get Shamari? Thanks.
House Bill 143 requires that certain vendors of condominium units provide asbestos disclosures. There is an amendment on the House bill, which was the original amendment that we adopted by this committee. We didn't report the Senate bill out, and then we reconsidered because there was some concerns over potential liability by a by a vendor of a unit. And we reconsidered those amendments and adopted a different amendment from the House. And so I think the motion is to conform this to the version that the Senate passed.
With permission of the delegate, my motion would be to conform House Bill 143 to the Senate version of the bill.
I'll second that. All right. All right, so now the bill is before you with the amendment. Motions were favorable.
Second.
Second, so conforming to the Senate. Second, is everyone okay being recording the affirmative? All right, House Bill 143 passes with amendment. We'll now move on to House Bill 159.
House Bill 159 alters certain requirements for procedures relating to electric vehicle recharging equipment. It establishes requirements and procedures relating to an application to the governing body of a cooperative housing corporation to install or use electric vehicle recharging equipment, and requires the Department of Housing and Community Development to publish information on its common ownership community website regarding requirements, contract information, certain points of contact, and resources on dispute resolutions. The amendments adopted by the Senate contain one additional provision that is not in the House version, and that provision related to contractors, and that the department shall make available on the website information on contractors, including specific information on contractors certified through labor management training programs. And that amendment was approved by the House sponsor.
So
Same motion.
motion would be to conform this House Bill to Senate Bill 159, is that right?
Yes,
Okay,
Senate Bill 465.
yes, that's right. And the House Bill is 159. Yep. Is seconded is, okay, now the bill's before you as amended, motions for favorable. Is everyone okay with being recording the affirmative? Okay. House Bill 159 with amendment passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 161.
House Bill 161 is a departmental bill that exempts certain applicants for ID cards who present appropriate documents to the MVA from paying the required fee. The bill also extends the term of a learner's permit from 180 days to 1 year. And finally, the bill establishes that a driver's license issued to certain government contractors must remain in full force and effect during an absence from the state if specified criteria are met. There is an amendment in your packet. It's number 713-524/1. So the kind of narrative behind this amendment is that in the Senate bill, or in the bill as drafted, there was a provision related to the fee waiver for ID cards that the way it was drafted, it arguably gave the MVA the authority to essentially establish any criteria for a fee waiver that they wanted by regulation. So the committee and the Senate struck that provision of the bill. The House did not strike that provision. So I've had discussions with the MVA about this, and they clarified to me that the intent of that was that they often have people come in trying to get ID cards who are indigent, who need the ID cards to be eligible to receive some kind of benefit or participate in a state program. And that's really the kind of situation they were trying to get at. So we worked with the administration to come up with the amended language you see in the reprint, which is on page 3 of 4, starting on line 22, essentially saying that one of the grounds for fee waivers would be if an individual presents documentation showing that the applicant is participating in another program administered by a state agency that requires the applicant to possess an ID card. So it's sort of a middle ground. It's not as broad as the language that the bill originally came in with, but it still gives the administration some flexibility when somebody needs an ID card in order to participate in a state program and they're indigent.
I'll move the amendment. We have further discussion on the amendment. Is that okay with moving the amendment? Okay, now the,
This then makes the House and the Senate bill the same. Isn't that right?
Yeah, the House is going to consider the
They
same
will do it.
amendment.
Okay,
Yes.
got it. Okay, got it.
all right, the bill's before you as amended. Further discussion? Motions for favorable with amendment? Is everyone okay
Yeah.
being recorded in the affirmative?
Yeah.
Okay. House Bill 161 with amendment passes unanimously. We'll now move on to House Bill 216.
House Bill 216 establishes a specific procedure by which the governing body of a condominium may grant a lease in excess of 1 year or a similar interest affecting the common elements of the condominium for the installation and use of leased clean energy equipment. HB 216 was cross-filed with Senate Bill 206. House Bill 216 does not have any amendments. However, we put on an amendment which deleted language which vested a council of unit owners with the ability to approve leases over a year for clean energy equipment with 51% of the vote. And so we took that part out.
Just make a motion to conform with the Senate. Second, all right, now the bill's before you as amended. Motions for favorable.
Second.
It's been seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in your original vote? Okay, let's, hold on. Just want to make sure we get it
So
right.
that was Senator Muse, oh no, they were excused. So Senator Muse was excused and Senator Charles was excused.
You want to just do the same thing, or do you want to do just vote consistent with the floor, or what do we, it doesn't matter to me. All right, Ed, so
Coleman and McKay are those.
then,
Okay.
okay. So House Bill 216 as amended or as conformed to the Senate passes what? 9,
No, 'cause,
8-3, 8-2, 8-2. Okay.
are you guys okay with adopting the amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll now go on to House Bill 256.
House Bill 256 requires the Maryland Department of Emergency Management, in consultation with other interested stakeholders, to study and make recommendations regarding the feasibility of establishing an incident notification system to notify members of the public, including recreational boaters and commercial watermen, of active waterway emergencies involving a person at risk of death or serious bodily harm, emergency marine events, or marine hazards, and potential partnerships between the state, the U.S. Coast Guard, the U.S. Navy, and nearby states to improve notifications to members of the public, including boaters and commercial watermen, of waterway emergencies involving a person at risk of death or serious bodily harm, emergency marine events, or marine hazards. The bill is different than its cross-file Senate Bill 166, which passed the Senate unanimously. Unlike Senate Bill 166, this places the study in the Department of Emergency Management. Senate Bill 166 established a work group with various stakeholders. So that's functionally they're studying the exact same thing. It's just who's conducting the study.
All right, what are your thoughts? Good, Senator Sidner.
All right, so just to be clear, they're putting the study in the department to do, and we created a work group. And in light of everything that's kind of happening today, I'm just curious, I'm assuming today's, what happened this morning would be one of those types of things that this would.
I was thinking the exact
Exact same thing, yeah.
I'd say, I mean, if the department's willing to do it, why create a work group that's gonna kind of disappear after a while instead of just placing it with emergency management? I mean, were they opposed? I'm assuming they weren't opposed to it.
Yeah, I was reviewing the committee testimony before the bill was called, and there was no unfavorable testimony
On their.
on
their amendments.
on the bill that was submitted. Let's see, I guess this would reflect the bill as amended.
I mean, that I say put it within the department if it's no issue, but.
Just a question of whether the General Assembly wants to establish the work group or just put it with the department, right?
I would move.
The bill favorably.
I would move favorably.
Yeah. All right. All right, the motions for favorable, I'll second that. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative?
Yes.
All right, House Bill 256 passes unanimously. Now move on to House Bill 486.
House Bill 486 requires the seller of residential real property located within 1 mile of a National Priorities List Superfund site to provide the buyer with an addendum to the contract for the sale of the property that contains the identification of the Superfund site, the definition of an NPL Superfund site, web addresses for certain websites, and a notice that the buyer may void the contract of sale within 5 days after signing and dating the contract of sale. This amendment was considered by the committee. We instead adopted a different amendment. We took out the reference to the specific website and just formed the addendum as instead of disclosure.
Senator Folden.
Thank you. Shamari, is there any other differences between the two bills other than the specific website?
Yes, so the version we passed did not have a specific distance. It just was a form notice that would be included with the contract of sale.
Mhm.
And the House bill included an addendum which would require a signature by the buyer upon receipt from the seller.
Okay, so, and then in our version, we changed it, we removed the website and
Remove
made
the
it,
website. Just reference the most recent site.
yeah, but we changed this, we took the website out, right?
Yes.
So, all right, I'm gonna figure out how to word this. Cause I would like to see us conform to the House version as it sits, but add in the part where we change the process for the website. So I would like us to conform with the House version. And then once we do that, we have to do an amendment now.
Just take out the website.
Send it back that way.
Yeah, I want to add our amendment to theirs. However, I want to add their language or, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just want to amend ours. I apologize.
What we should do then is, because I think we got it right on the website thing, but I think you're right on this other stuff. So we would just amend, can you just drop
Yes.
our website language into this bill?
Yes.
Okay.
My apologies.
Yeah. Which was a floor amendment, so. Second the amendment is okay. All right, now the bill's before you as amended. Motions were favorable. No, sorry, Senator Sidner's got a question.
I think I was over in ENT at the time when the Senate sponsor was talking about this, and and she seemed to be and this is not. No, she said she liked the House version. She thought that the House did a much better job than what we did. So So
Advocates and the opposition, they all kind of, all the stakeholders got involved in the language same way.
right, so I was just putting that out, so, you know, next,
Thank you.
That was a long way of saying that she liked this. And, all right. Yeah, so, yeah, it's still going on. But so, all right, the, all right. Now, but we did a better job on the website part. I'll put it that way. All right. All right. So now the bill's before you as amended. The motion's for a favorable and seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative on that? Senator Kelly?
Oh, I don't think this matters. I just process wise, if they, okay, we have the House version, they have the Senate version, so we are taking the House version, but putting in the website language, then it'll go back. So this is not gonna create unnecessary delays with what they're voting on right now, because they're gonna take it'll be fine. Okay, good, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, once they get this, they should recede and then it'll go.
Okay.
But
And then they can just kill the Senate.
no, they concur. Yeah, because it's not a conference committee, I guess you're right.
And then they can just kill the Senate.
I just know because they're voting on ours as we're voting on theirs.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'll communicate what we did, so. But I'll do it succinctly and, all right, all right. Yeah. Filibuster. All right, we got House Bill 906.
House Bill. House Bill 906 alters the salary of the sheriff of Garrett County, and repeals the requirement for the Garrett County Salary Study Commission to study and issue a report that contains recommendations relating to the salary of the sheriff. And it's pretty much identical to the version we passed. There's one slight language clarification in section 2 on page 3, line 8. The Senate version says in accordance with, the House version says pursuant to. So my recommendation is just to conform to the Senate version. It's a distinction that it's clarification. It's just a typo. Like they should have matched, but they don't match.
But what's interesting is when it we don't offend, but we want
Move the bill as amended.
All right, let's move the, can we move the amendment? It's a technical amendment, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Provide that the salary of the state senator from Garrett County is the same as the salary of the sheriff.
I'm sure he'd like that. All right, but so, all right, everyone's okay adopting the technical amendment? Now the bill's before you as amended. The motion's for a favorable with amendment. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? Okay, House Bill 906 with amendment passes unanimously. All right, so that'll complete the work for voting list 16. We'll now move on to voting list 17. And we're going to start off. So sad, so sad. House Bill 43.
House Bill 43 authorizes counties and municipalities to designate county or municipal highways in their respective jurisdictions on which a person may operate a golf cart. This statewide authorization replaces similar authorizations that currently apply in specified jurisdictions. So this is the cross-file to Senate Bill 316, which the committee still has in its possession. There are a few slight differences between the two bills. So the House bill, so the general rule in the House bill is that the authorization can only be applied on highways with a maximum speed limit of 30 miles per hour. They amended that to carve out the jurisdiction of Golden Beach, Patuxent Knolls, and St. Mary's County, and made that 35 miles an hour there because that's the authorization they currently have in their statute. In addition, the House bill was amended to allow golf carts on these highways to operate at all times of day if they have proper lighting devices, and they added a prohibition on these golf carts operating if the number of occupants exceeds the number of seats in the golf cart.
How fast can golf cart? All right, further discussion. What do you all think? All right, we're gonna hold until Friday. Both of the bills. So the Senate Bill 316 and House Bill 43 are gonna be held until Friday. We'll now move on to House Bill 113. Let's get this thing done.
House Bill 113 generally prohibits an adult who is present and directly supervising a minor from allowing the minor to ride a horse in specified areas unless the minor is wearing properly secured a helmet that meets or exceeds the standards of the American Society of Testing and Materials for protective headgear used in equestrian riding. There were some changes. So the committee has Senate Bill 42, which is the Senate cross file. The House did make a couple changes. Specifically, the House clarified the types of facilities to which the bill applies to require that the primary purpose of the facility be equestrian activities. And it additionally added provision which exempts out a therapy service from a licensed medical provider for whom the use of an alternative helmet is necessary and appropriate from the requirements of the bill. So allowing these alternative helmets for therapy services from licensed providers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm going to remind the committee, first of all, what I would like to do with this bill, if the committee is amenable, is pass the House version and then conform the Senate version. The House did a lot of work. They really, the amendments that they have on there answer every possible question, starting with the questions that were raised by Senator Jennings, and then any further questions that arose, really just to make sure that the bill is narrowly focused on doing what it wants to do. And there has been a lot of time for public comment and outreach, and there are no outstanding concerns that I am aware of. My one outstanding concern that I wanted to have answered, and I thank Mary Kay from Delegate Lehman's office for being here with us as well, was just to make sure that anybody who this bill would cover was aware that this law was coming and had the opportunity to express concern. And I was assured that that did happen. And in fact, the Maryland Horse Council regularly communicates with the stables who would be affected. And they've been circulating this information repeatedly and have not heard back any negative concerns, only positive concerns that they in fact want this law to be on the books because of the public health impact. And I will just, to remind everybody why we're doing this, just want to to remind you from the original hearing from the American Medical Equestrian Association, wearing a helmet reduces severe head injury risk by 50%. And MIMS tells us that 28% of the minders treated for traumatic brain injuries in Maryland were not wearing a helmet. So that's the reason we're doing it, is really narrowly focused. The amendments the House put on help answer any outstanding questions. So I would like to move the delegate layman's bill and then conform our bill to do that if possible.
So
We just said, we don't even need to set up or the sponsor's not even gonna be around.
If we just want to move the House version, I'm okay too.
Aw. Well, all right, so there's a motion for a favorable on the House bill. It's been seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded? All right, McKay's down.
You voted no?
Are you doing a skit tomorrow?
No, I'm
Oh, come on, we just. There you go. Okay. Good.
Senator McKay.
Oh, that's actually.
gonna have probably a better chance to find what I'm looking for.
All right, so let's do this. We'll conform motion. We're now on Senate Bill 42. We'll conform Senate Bill 42 to House Bill 113. Is everyone okay doing that? So now now the bills before you as amended, motions for the same vote as we just took with House Bill 113 with Senator McKay going down. Is everyone okay with that? All right, so Senate Bill 42 with amendment passes 8-1. All right, we'll now move on to 9-1. So my apologies, 9-1. We'll now move on to House Bill 278.
House Bill 278 authorizes the State Highway Administration to decrease the maximum speed limit on a highway under its jurisdiction without an engineering and traffic investigation if the administration is only decreasing the speed limit by 5 miles per hour. The committee also has Senate Bill 464, which is not marked as a direct cross file because there's a slight technical non-substantive difference between the drafting. So you could conform that to the House bill if you so choose.
Did we have a hearing on the House bill already?
We just did.
But it's not on this one.
That was our first bill session.
Kerr was here. Ken Kerr was here.
Yeah, but it wasn't on this bill. No. So, yeah. So this is the same bill then that we heard like the other week. We had a discussion about with Senator Jackson's, where there's already a mechanism in place through MDOT, through SHA to move these speed limits down by doing the proper protocol, which is do a speed assessment and or traffic survey, and you can move it. They can move it. I don't know why we're trying to give bureaucratic autonomy to do something at a whim when we're putting so many speed cameras up that's just going to cost people more money, because we're going to see municipalities dropping speed limits because they can by 5 miles an hour, which is going to change people. They're going to start having more infractions because they're like, oh gosh, they didn't even do a speed study. They don't have to notify us of anything. That's why it's there. Transparency. We should not be allowing a bureaucratic person to make a change of a state mandated speed limit that is in law, and everybody in driver's ed gets trained the same way, gets told what the speed limits are in housing, residential business districts and the like. So I think this is a terrible precedent that we're allowing people that are not elected to have the authority to change stuff without any accountability to the public. So with that, I would like to not move the bill. I would like to hold the bill until they bring further details forward why this is needed, because no one justified why it was absolutely needed.
All right, so we get House Bill 278 and Senate Bill 464 are held. We're also going to hold House Bill 705, working on some amendments. So we'll now go on to House Bill 737.
I think we actually may need B&T on this one, so. Yeah. Sorry for not.
To not be, to not slow or impede the normal and prudent flow of traffic is how it is in traffic law. So I don't know. Yeah, just for signs and labor.
All right, because the fiscal, we're good. Yeah, because of the fiscal note, we have to seek budget and tax approval, so we'll put on the list for budget and tax approval. So now we'll move on to House Bill 853.
House Bill 853 alters a provision concerning the maximum penalty for the late payment of rent that a landlord may charge in a residential lease to prohibit a penalty in excess of 5% of the amount of the unpaid rent rather than of the amount due.
Discussion.
Similar bill to this that we heard? We just had a hearing, Senate.
There is no cross file to this one.
Shamari would know.
Because I remember having a discussion about and the residual balance of it versus, or am I just
We
thinking?
just had this hearing.
Oh, I must
so
be just
that
thinking
might
of this.
be the
Okay.
hearing for this bill.
Let's hold this bill. We'll hold the
Thank
bill till tomorrow. All right, that completes the work of the day.
Hold the bill.
Oh, wait, hold on, one second.
177 uses bill.
Yeah, 177, bless you, sir. Any day tomorrow, whatever, I've already.
We'll do that tomorrow. All right. Yeah, we are.
Will you available for a quick sec?
Yeah.
Right after?
Yeah. All right, that'll conclude the work. We'll see you tomorrow. What floor starts at 10 o'clock tomorrow?
10 o'clock.
All right, 10 o'clock. See you tomorrow.
And we got committee dinner tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Nope. They